Hello and welcome back to Organic Cardboard. My name is Owen Kneep and today I've got yet another unboxing. This is like the fourth one in a row. I just finished 3 of them that I had that just like kind of built up on me, and this one just showed up yesterday, and this is Even Deeper Regrets by PecktecGames, and I'm pretty excited to get into this. This is like the expansion for Deep Regrets, which is kind of like this Cthulhu-esque fishing game sort of thing that's based off of kind of like that video game Dredge. It takes a lot of leeway from it. I'm not going to ramble too much. This should be a fairly quick unboxing. Let's go ahead and just get it overhead here, and we'll go ahead and get this thing opened up. So this one, I believe, is, well, I know it's got a whole nother, like, I don't know if you want to call it a module or game mode, but it's going to add some kind of like inland fishing or something, and it should address some issues of making like multiple pathways a little more viable in the game, where it's not so much about like, it's kind of hard to not go crazy in the first game, like to get points, because you got like multipliers off of things depending on whether you got really crazy fish or you got like, you know, the sane fish and stayed sane at the same time. And this one, it's not got any of the errata. Well, I just said that, but it does have some of the errata fixes. He is doing a big errata fix, though, that's optional for people to match. The backs of the cards are going to be a little bit different colored in this one. But it looks like this is for the very first printing, though, is going to have some of the particularly, like, you know, whatever problematic errata fixes, and then we'll be able to potentially order other ones later, you know, to fix the colors of the cards to match this expansion. So everything is really big about paper and not plastic, so we've got a lot of paper stuff here, and just like the first game, it looks like we've got a paper wrapped box, like a kind of like a fish market newspaper wrapped box here. And I'm going to be pretty careful with this. I'm not going to rip this off, because I actually saved my other one. I thought it was so neat, and I keep my game wrapped up in it. This was something to fix. I can't remember if it was something that was in the game, in this new game, or part of the old game. Can't tell. But he had to leave this on the outside just for packaging purposes when they were fixing this. Nothing else in the box. Perfectly adequate packaging. Okay, so let's see how carefully I can pull this open. I was real careful with the last one, and was able to, again, keep everything kind of wrapped up afterwards with it. I don't know if I'll be able to be so careful with this one, because it's pretty glued on there. There we go. It's about as good as I can get that corner open. Okay, so maybe that'll be doable. It's kind of neat, though. He actually put like a whole newspaper's worth of, like, I don't know if you want to call it story, like just newspaper stories from Rockabara, or whatever the name of this crazy town is. This one might open a little easier on this side. Okay, yeah, that side actually opened pretty well. So a little bit of tore up, but I could probably still wrap this up if I wanted to afterwards. Alright, so we'll save that little special newspaper again. It's kind of fun. It does have all the, like, you know, outer box stuff that you know, information about the game posted over it. But if you actually read this, there actually is, like, you know, not like it's a super exciting story or anything, but just like a regular newspaper. So this one has your horror heads inland. So if the briny deep becomes too tepid, you can now choose to sail inland to fish the rivers and lochs where new mechanics accompany a much riskier landscape, but can you stomach what awaits? So there's new fish, 25 new dinks, so let's see, plus 117 all new fish. So that's kind of weird. It says 74 new fish plus 117 all new fish. I think what it's saying is like maybe 75 for this expansion, and then another 117 that just add to the game. And then pets on board. So luckily you won't have to go it alone. There are now pets for sale amongst the provisions at port, plus new rods, reels, supplies, regrets, and even an ambulance you can call if things get too scaly. So pretty cool. We'll get flipping through all those cards here. So here's our little rule book. Not very many pages, 10, 11 pages on small rule book here, so it shouldn't be very hard to get through. The original game was pretty easy to understand. There weren't like a ton, you know, there's not like a ton of stuff going on, even though there's a decent amount of thought space, but a lot of just luck and fun. This had a little bit of info for solo in there as well. So we've got a survey guide here. I think this might be for solo. It looks like. Here's our new board. So we've got stuff for river fish, dinks, and then the loch. So it looks like you can kind of fish along a river and then also in a lake. Okay. So we've got new dinks. We've got some Kickstarter exclusive bad fish, it looks like. And then other cards, player aids, and whatnot in there. This looks like maybe just the new pack of fish. Got some nasty fish here, some deep fish, and some components. So let's zoom it in just a little bit here and we'll see what some of this stuff looks like. So let's go ahead and check out the components real quick before we start flipping through all the cards. Alright. Oh, okay. This is literally just all a bunch of these Clout tokens. Something about this has to do, I can't remember what the Clout does exactly, but it's just another way to kind of grab points as you go. I think it might have something to do with some of those inland fish. I can't remember. I know there was some stuff in here again that made it more viable to finish the game sane and healthy and have like good looking fish instead of having just all the nasty fish that are fun to get, but also make you feel like you're a little stuck in one direction. So let's go ahead and check out the Kickstarter exclusive stuff here. Let's see, I don't know if I can get any closer with this one. I think that's about as close as that gets. Okay. Alright, so this just mentions that there's Kickstarter. These are Kickstarter cards, so maybe these are extra silly, I'm not sure. It does have them marked as Kickstarter on the side so that you can remove them if you want to later. So we've got Lucky and Bad Penny. You got the Fish, Naval Mines. So these are just a few cards. There's like 6 cards here, as well as the card that describes them. So not much that you're missing if you didn't do the Kickstarter one. I wouldn't worry about it too bad. Okay. See if I can just slide these out of this sleeve. So we've got some creepy fish here. Donto squid. Mutant circus. Mutant circus seal. Yeah. So this is kind of what this game's about. It's about having these zany, weird fish. As you gain them, the nasty fish will tend to affect you in ways of making you more crazy, which makes them, gives you benefits, and also like it's like pros and cons that you get. So we do have some fair fish mixed in here. Fair in general just means that they're real fish and not crazy Cthulhu fish. Got the fin husband and fin wife. Child of Rockabara, however you say that. That's like the name of the town, I guess, that you're in. So this is a fair fish, but he has been speared like crazy, it looks like. The sperm whale. It's not necessarily pleasant. I mean, the game's kind of horror-based, but also has enough silliness in it that it feels kind of lighthearted. It's got some creepy things. The bloat beast. Alright, so these look like these might be the pets. These are supply items. Obviously I have to have a cat and dog in there. Some ferrets, potbelly pig, chicken. You got some crazy eye of the lock. So some of these are starting to just be items now, just like regular items. I don't really know what the difference between the pets or not. I guess they might just, they're not like separate kind of items unless there's some extra rule for that. But they look like they're just listed just like the regular item cards that you'd be getting from the market. Very expired beer. So this is really nice in this expansion. One of the things I was looking forward to is that it does feel like in the first game that there's just not a whole lot of options for rods and reels. There's like 10, I think, of each. And you do know them pretty quickly, so it does like make you want to search more in those decks to get exactly the one that you want, because you definitely can do that, or you can kind of fish for the right one, if you want to call it that. But with this, it'll make it a little harder to just go searching for one specific one, and you might just have to kind of get whatever the day gives you. So these maybe are a different, I think you started with worms in the other one. These are night crawlers. I wonder if you get to also start with this, or if it's one or the other. And then here's an ambulance to make port from inland. So like the other one, you could go to port with by like crashing your ship or just abandoning it and jumping into a little lifeboat. And then this one, it actually gives you an ambulance instead, it looks like. And then this is just one of the player aids here. Okay. Pretty decent amount of cards overall. So I'm wondering if these maybe are just some extras, extra fish. It does look like, I kind of like this little symbol in the bottom left corner. It does look like that's referring to Deeper Regrets, and it kind of looks like a 2, but it's also a snake. It's kind of a nice little touch on an icon, just so that you can separate them later if you need to. I don't really know. I'm going to have to compare later to see how the backs compare to the first printing and see how different they really are. Though these kind of look I guess those are the regular depth cards, yeah. Wasn't sure if those were part of the inland or not. We didn't really look at the back of these other ones to see. No, those are just deep. Maybe we haven't gotten to all the inland ones yet. Some little zany characters, the sea goat. And just catch you a walrus. Cow carcass. It's always nice to get a cow carcass on your line. Crown of Agartha. Scepter of Agartha. So these are two additional cards, it looks like, that are, I noticed Agartha from the first game. There's one card in there that'll let you take the Omen die. And this one looks like it's adding at least a couple more. So both of these will let you take the Omen die, which is just an extra really strong die to use. Some crazy seahorse, it looks like here. Another even crazier looking horse with a face on it. Knuckle-Avy. Sure he had fun making up a bunch of names here. Sea Pig. It's considered to be fair. I guess that must be real. Juxtaporpoise. Gross. Alright. Let's see, we got one more big stack of cards. Alright, so here's the rest of the play raids. Just keep flipping through. Let's see, Grayling. We got some snakes. So these, okay, now we are into the river, I guess, or that you want to call the inland cards here. Salmon of Knowledge. Just got a black sphere. Baronbane. Creepy, creepy. Wonder why this one has R on the outer corners of it. The other ones do not. This whole card looks different. Curious what that's about. because it even has a different symbol down here in the bottom left corner. The Clutie Man. Oh, I caught the Clutie Man. Lots of weird characters here. Nellie Longarms. Jenny Greenteeth. A lot of humanoids. The long bass. That bass is long. So we got a dam. The deep sheep, full of worms. Ooh, got another little booby monster here. Some old saggle teats. So you can get alligators, crocs, and caimans, it looks like. A demon crocodile, ooh. So scary. And I guess you can catch Nessie. Why not? I feel like the plesiosaur should not be foul. He's looks like a nice little creature. And then you can just catch a log. Oh wow, if you catch this log, it says you discard all of your clout and discard a lockfish and then discard the log. It says on the bottom, I could have sworn I saw it move. There's way too many cards to read all the little blurbs on the very bottom of them, but like Peg Pratt Powler here, it says her name is invoked to frighten children away from the banks of rivers, and with good reason. So there's a bunch. Every one of these cards has a little blurby bit on the very bottom of it as well. So I think that's all the big cards. Did not give them the smell test yet, and they're cards. They don't really have a particularly pleasant smell or bad smell. All right, always have to do the smell test on the cards. Nobody does smell tests on their cards, and I think it can be very nostalgic. So these are always fun. These are dinks, and these are what you take like if you can't catch a fish that you're trying to catch, then you take a dink. So we got a dead rat, eyeball, some different little fish, crazy fish. A lot of these are normal. Hip flask. One thing I'm not seeing that I wish I would see are more of the regret cards, which I guess there's no need for it for balancing issues to have more of the types of I just like the different kinds of regrets. Oh, we do see some in the very back. Okay, so there will be a few here. The regrets are always funny because they're just, and the best regrets are the like minor regrets or whatever, the small ones, because it's like you combed your hair the wrong way or something like that. So let's look at some of these. So these are all even deeper regrets, and then you got brief respites here. So this one, you doomed mankind, so that's a 4 regret. Sold your soul, that's a 4 regret. Took a job as an angler. Oh God, why did I do that? Super deep regret. So you only have 3 of those 4s showing up, and then we have these brief respites. Thought about visiting a psychiatrist. Made me feel a little better. Threw a brick through a window. So I guess these are negative ones, and I guess that made you feel better. That you didn't feel bad about throwing that brick through a window. It just made you kind of feel better. You punched a drunk. You know, he deserved it, so it made you feel kind of good. You went gambling. Maybe he took away some of your other worries. And that's it. There's just 4 of those brief respites in there. Yeah, I mean, we can take a little closer peek maybe of the board here, of the inland board. And I believe this will just be played alongside with the rest of the game. Nothing on the back. But yeah, oh, let's take a peek at the artwork on the inside of the box here, because they do a lot of art. So it looks like we've got a 13 on the door, some creepy drunk dude up here maybe. He's holding a bottle of moonshine, it looks like. It's a little hard to see, but there are some weird little fish and stuff kind of posted up around. There's this big octopus kind of strangling the stairway up through here. Looks like there's a caged octopus over here. Some just big fish bones. Yeah, he went all the way around. It even has the ceiling. Not too much I can see in the ceiling, except there's like a little doorway hatch. Alright. It's a little bit. There's flooring as well, but there's really nothing that you can hardly see any in there. But always kind of neat to paint up the inside of a box like that. But I think that's about it. It's quite a few cards to go through. Yeah, this is mostly just a game, I mean an expansion of just adding more to the game. I did not look at the Errata pack. We could go ahead and take a peek at that and see what cards you're expecting to see if you do need the Errata pack, if you didn't get it. This is just for the first printing, so this should already be fixed in other people's games. So it looks like you got a little explainer for how to add it in. So some of these might have had either a word that was a little off in it, or they might have had an adjustment on the prices, or like, you know, the points that are involved with it. Rod of the Infinite, this was probably nerfed a little bit. I don't know, I can't remember. And it looks like yeah, they fixed the player aids. There was a little small error on the player aids. And then it looks like they gave a couple stickers to be able to place to fix. Just it was fairly minor. It didn't ruin the game. I printed one little sheet of Errata. It was really easy to follow when you played the game. But yeah, there's a few little things to just kind of place out over here to fix a few mistakes. But all right, I think that's about it for the unboxing of Even Deeper Regrets. Hopefully I can hang on to that paper and keep using it. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy this kind of content. You know, if you do enjoy this kind of content, a couple of those free little clicks on the screen really helps support out channels like mine. I appreciate it so much when you do. But as always, do what is right for you. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Take care. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.